The findings and the conclusion of that meeting has up to date not been published in the media. The meeting was, however, held in Grand Turk by the Disaster Recovery Board. That board was recently formed by the governor, His Excellency Gordon Wetherill, to serve as a watchdog for the funds. News 4 was unable to get any information as to what was said during the meeting. However, Director of the National Rebuilding Unit, Ellery James, confirms that there are still major issues impeding the recovery efforts of Grand Turk. One of those issues, James informed, is a lack of funding for the islands devastated by the September storms. Funding, which James told News 4, could not have come at a better time.
There are a list of projects that we're actually working on, trying to get resolved. Not to mention, we're also still working on the housing issues that we were faced with. We built TCI. We did bring in some materials through the Turks and Caicos government, but as you know, due to financial limitations, that had to be managed very closely.
It was just 2 weeks ago that the People's Democratic Movement bashed the TCI government during a trip to Grand Turk, noting that the recovery of Grand Turk has been sluggish and that months after the storm, residents are still living without basic amenities.
Restoration from a hurricane is not an overnight fix, and even myself, I had to try and to slow myself down a bit and deal with it, address the matter comprehensively. Yes, to be truthful, there are still students in tents. However, I mentioned about a few priority projects that we're actually moving to resolve really quickly. The schools is one of them.
Those priority projects also include the rebuilding of health institutions, the reconstruction of classrooms, and the restoration of major infrastructures to the nation's capital, which the funds are supposed to be used for. A memorandum of understanding between the UK and the TCI government was recently signed for the $5 million grant. The Disaster Recovery Board is chaired by the governor, and on the board sits the Honorable Galma Williams, Honorable Arthur Robinson of the opposition, Pastor Vernon Malcolm, and Clive Stanbrook.
Now that we do have some funds, it will be easier to address those issues. As it relates to the electricity, I would probably go on record to say that the entire infrastructure, electrical infrastructure, had to be rebuilt on Grand Turk. And we must be thankful to the teams that restored how much has been restored to date, simply because it was almost having to go in there and build the whole island over from scratch. Now, both you and I know that's not an overnight fix. However, I have information from Grand Turk to say that the power company did not approve some of the residents due to a lot of shortcutting and stuff as well that could have can potentially cause fires.
According to a press release from Government Information Services, projects must be submitted to the board through the Recovery Task Force. The Recovery Task Force is chaired by the Permanent Secretary of Finance, Delton Jones. For WIV4 News, I'm Angie Toussaint.